I don't know which one of you wants to tell the story first, but a quick background for our folks here on just, in a nutshell, what happened. It was a sort of a scandalous affair and some financial improprieties, and it almost led to the collapse of your very, very worthwhile organization. Maybe you could update our viewers on what happened.
I'll start because I was there before Hale came in. The board had been given false financial statements for a number of months, and on the day that the former CFO, couldn't make payroll, he walked in and resigned, and that's when it became the beginning of really the drastic situation that we were in, and that happened in July of '09. On August, the 1st of August, Hale Ritchie came back to the community. He was having a nice time in one of his retirement homes, and he came back as our restructuring officer, and then did stay on to be on the board, and now is chair of our board. So,
well, now when you discovered what the situation had become, you were almost $6 million in debt.
Correct.
So the first step was to file bankruptcy. I believe you got somewhere between $1.5 million or $2 million in restructuring dollars to just sort of pay your operating expenses to move on, and then you stepped in for a new day, and there was a big fundraising task in front of you.
My primary role initially was to take a look at the programs, take a look at what we need to cut, what we could still do, how to restructure. Eventually we got to the point of doing a New Day campaign, which were bridge funds to get us to where we could get the regular budget in the black.
Sure.
And we've now done that. We've got the regular budget.
That's amazing in and of itself, in 2 years.
Back in the black, and we're still servicing over 3,000 kids a year. The primary thing we lost was child daycare, but all the children are still getting their therapies, and we're in the black. We still have debts to pay because we're paying everybody back 100%.
And that's impressive also.
But that was, and it's hard to do, I got to tell you. But we're in pretty good shape right now. We've still got work to do, however.
Now, you closed a couple of centers, correct?
We closed 2 centers and sold those facilities, which we were, thankful that we had some assets that we could use to keep us going.
Get some cash flow.
So we did close 2 facilities, and we closed 2 places that we were renting at the time.
Now, Deb, what did you do with the organization prior to becoming its president?
I was the chief operating officer and over programs and services.
Being directly tied to the organization at the time, that must have hit you like a sack of rocks when you found out what was going on.
It was really hard for all the staff. I mean, many of our staff have been there for a long time and are very dedicated to the organization, so it was, very personal to everyone. And it just really kind of rocked everybody's world.
Well, and we should quickly just let people know, if they're not aware, that Rainbows United has been around for how long?
We'll celebrate our 40th year in June of 12.
Wow, we're just around that same age here at KPTS. But you serve special needs children and families 0 to 21.
Correct.
And it's very important work. I mean, it's something that needs to be there for the community. And that's where the community stepped in, Hale, and really has stepped forward and decided that Rainbows was something they wanted to continue in this community, and that has to be extraordinarily rewarding for you as somebody who helped raise some of that money.
There's no way I could have done what I did for this organization if the community hadn't cared about whether Rainbows existed, and if the staff hadn't stayed and were as dedicated as they were. It's a very complicated thing, but the staff could have left, gone found new jobs.
Well, we're done.
We're done. And the community, quite frankly, could have turned their back on us. But the combination of the staff being as dedicated as they were, and as professional as they were, and as passionate as they were, and the community really feeling like Rainbows needed to exist. And the combination of those 2 things just came together to make what I did fairly easy.
Well, my goodness, when you look at you're serving 3,000 children, obviously there's an incredible need, and imagine where those 3,000 children would be right now without Rainbows to help them. It's now, as I understand, there were never any criminal charges. It was really just bad bookkeeping or just not paying attention.
Yeah, bad management of funds. Nothing was taken from the organization. It was just we overspent in terms of the services we provided. We really continued providing services when we didn't have the funds to do it, but the board and most, the staff didn't know either at the time.
Sure. Now, the best advice, I guess, for other nonprofits, or really any, nonprofit business, is to have a regular, in fact, that's what the biggest issue was, in retrospect, was not a yearly audit. To have somebody, an independent person, looking at the books, because maybe some flags would have been raised before it got to the place it got to.
Well, and it's also very important that the board not be a rubber stamp board.
Very good point.
Rainbow's had pretty much a rubber stamp board because they
everything
were,
looks good, and
yeah, they were fed the information and basically said aye, but now our board is much more engaged. We have much more active committee work where we meet with the various staff members on a regular basis and where all the staff are empowered to say what they want to say.
and a separate foundation run by another chairman and board members just to manage the charitable giving arm.
That's
And
correct.
another set of eyes to oversee.
That's correct.
Hale and Deb, good job. Job well done.
thank
Keeping
you.
a great organization alive and well in this community. And we appreciate you taking the time to tell your story today. It's an important one.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.